There is no science when it comes to investing. Get that in your head, my friends. Please, please, please. There is no science when it comes to investing, regardless of what the financial providers of stocks, bonds, mutual funds say, the financial advisory firms that are out there. There is no science. There is no such thing as evidence-based investing that you can lay your hat on for your own retirement projections or your own investment analysis. There is none. When you hear purveyors of these products saying we are basing our portfolio on evidence-based investing or a scientific analysis, please, for the love of all that's good, run for the hills. There is no science. You want proof of that? Watch this. See this pen right here? I'm going to predict to you, this is crazy now, I'm going to predict when I let go of this pen, it's going to drop. Ah, whoa, that's crazy. Let's see, will my predictions come true? Oh, yes, amazing. Let's try it again, just to make sure I wasn't lucky. It came through again, nuts. That, my friends, is science. We know there's something called gravity. Now, I will drop the pen 100 times, and 100 times out of 100, the pen will fall. Now, it might not hit the earth because I could catch it where it did not hit the earth. That doesn't get rid of the law of gravity, the scientific law of gravity. So I'll drop it. That time it hit the earth. The other times I caught it and it didn't hit the earth, but it still fell. All right. So that is science. The earth revolves around the sun because of the gravitation pull of the sun. All the planets in the solar system, they fall under the same scientific laws. There's no, I mean, look, that's just factual. Science when it comes to investing. Why is there no science? Because investing is not based on things like the laws of gravity, thermodynamics, things like how much watts the sun provides us on a square meter. That is factually evident. What investing is on human beings engaging in their own individual activities to hopefully turn a profit. But there's also things called the government, regulation, taxation. There's humans who have Alzheimer's. There's humans who bet too much in one way. There's leverage, all this stuff. None of that can be looked at from a scientific perspective, because as human beings in our emotional states that will decide for us our individual actions, which is what makes the market go. You can't make any of this based on science. Let me just give you the perfect example of this. LTCM. If you haven't read up on LTCM and you're still believing in science on the investment industry, I highly suggest you look at long-term capital management. You're not going to get any people with more scientific chops in their brains up there than LTCM, and yet their science, their evidence-based investing strategies, almost in the late 90s blew up the entire industry of financial markets. It's nuts. And yet there's no one better with the algorithms or their PhDs. I think they even had a couple Nobel Prize guys in there. No one had more scientific chops than those guys. And they went kaput and almost took everyone down with it. So stop this with the scientific research, evidence-based, or, another of my pet peeves, investor psychology. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I, Joe, financial advisor, are going to protect you from making bad investment choices, because investor psychology and behavioral coaching is what I do. So I have evidence-based analysis and behavioral coaching. No, I'm not, look, I can't beat the market, I can't, but I can protect you from yourself using my evidence-based approach. It sounds pretty good in theory, doesn't it? You're like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I can't do that myself, because they're using evidence, they're using scientific, they're using investor psychology, they're talking all this big scientific stuff. And I'm just a poor guy working as a chemical engineer at, I don't know, some Eastman chemical plant or whatever it's called. I can't know all that stuff. I mean, these guys know it, right? And then when you're driving home, you say, wait a second, that crazy guy Josh on YouTube told me about long-term capital management. If long-term capital management couldn't do it, how could my financial advisor in Podunk, Florida do it? And the answer is he can't, or she, they can't. There's no investor psychology management. There's no psychological analysis, psychological behavioral coaching. There is no investment evidence at all. There is no science to this stuff. So let me give an example of one of my pet peeves of the industry. Working with a guy yesterday, and obviously I'm not going to say who he is or where he's from, All right, but he did well in cryptocurrency. Let's just put it that way. And he was smart enough to recognize that cryptocurrency was a gambler's market, speculation. And when his speculation paid off, he was made. And so he got out at the right time. He invested at the right time, got out at the right time, and he understands his luck. But it's pure luck. But he got out. He took his gains, and that's what you should do. When you're given market-like speculative returns, you should take your gains and just lock them in. So he did that. So now he's got a 7-figure portfolio, of which he did not have 7 figures before he invested in Bitcoin. He goes hires a financial advisor. Financial advisor then says, yes, we're going to put you in this, we got all the scientific backing, all the academic credentials you could possibly imagine. So we're going to put you in an investment portfolio designed specifically for you. All right, a year goes by and the market, he loses money after fees, even gross of fees, he loses money. And he's like, hey, what's going on here? I'm not expecting to make returns all the time, but I just realized that I'm thinking maybe your fees are too high. And the guy emails him back, the investment guy says, look, we're not saying our fees are low. We're just saying at the end of the day, we think based on our psychological behavior, I worry about investor psychological behavior. I worry about it for you, and insinuating that I'm here to protect you from making stupid mistakes on your own, Mr. Smith. On top of that, we use evidence-based, scientific-based approach to investment. And our analysis team says, even though some of our funds have underperformed, they've got a strong 10-year track record, so we believe in them. By the way, we're thinking about reducing our exposure. So I'm reading this email to him, like, that doesn't make any sense. So you like these funds you chose last year for this guy based on their 10-year track record. They have a year down where they're getting crushed. You don't like the funds anymore. You're thinking about getting rid of them, but then you also say at the same time on the other side of your face that you're thinking about that even though you're thinking about getting rid of them, they do have a strong 10-year track record. That doesn't make any sense. So you either live by them or you die by them, but you don't cut it short. What was that about? So I'm sitting there thinking what? On top of that, you're saying we're going to engage in investor psychological behavior, and on top of that, our analysis team uses the most up-to-date scientific research and investment tools out there to essentially protect you from yourself and give you the best portfolio out there. And I just sitting there, boggles my mind. All right, so this guy's charging 1% on $1 million. That's $10,000. He's got a portfolio of mutual funds in there too. And the biggest holding of this portfolio, this just infuriates me, my friends, is an Index 500 fund. So a third of that $1 million, 1/3 of it is in the S&P 500 index. Now, I talk a lot on this YouTube channel about closet indexers. How if you're going to hire an active manager, you do not hire a closet indexer, a guy that's so scared of his shadow that he just sits next to the index, yet he charges a lot of fees. You just simply can't do that. There's absolutely no reason to do that whatsoever. As much as Ken Fisher, you may or may not like the guy. I actually like Ken Fisher, the guy I Hate Annuities guy. But as much as that guy, you can rub some people wrong, at least he's actively managing your money with individual stocks. In this case, so the portfolio is based on a bunch of different mutual funds, of which the largest holding is the S&P 500. So if I'm charging you 1% to hold the S&P 500, there's a 100% chance I will underperform the S&P 500 by the amount I'm charging you. There's just no getting around that. And so in this case, the guy's charging 1% to hold a third of this portfolio in the S&P 500. That's just a closet indexer. Run for the hills from that. All right, so then he's got a bunch of other mutual funds in there that all charge around 1% of each in fees. Now, the thing that irks me on this guy's portfolio was a manager was sitting there saying, "Oh, our average expense ratio is, I think it was 0.65 or something like that." It's 0.65 because the largest holding was the S&P 500 index, which is like 2 basis points. But you throw all the other crappy positions in there, that's not 0.65, it's 1%. So essentially you're charging 1% for your fee, 1% for the active managers, and you're taking a bet on the S&P 500 at a third of the portfolio. It's absurd. I just sit there and there's no way this guy's ever going to beat the market. This guy's not even trying to beat the market. He just wants to get a good return for his fee. He's like, I don't care about beating the market. I get diversification. But if I'm paying you, why do I have a third of my portfolio in the S&P 500 when I'm paying you 1%? And then I have all this other stuff in there and I'm getting killed relative to the market as a whole. That doesn't make any sense. And then you factor in my fee on top of that. What is that about? It's crazy talk. And so, I'm sitting there thinking, this is insane. Again, if you're going to get active management, go active management like the Ken Fisher way, where you're buying individual stocks. If you just need someone to diversify portfolio, then go to Vanguard, where they're going to diversify your portfolio in index funds for 33 basis points. This scenario right here is the worst scenario. You're getting non-active management, but you're paying active management fee. You're getting diversification like Vanguard, but you're paying active management fee. It's the worst of the world. It's just insane anyway. It's insane to me. Don't do that. And so in this case, the guy's like, I'm losing money. I'm still paying you, and you're giving me all this gobbledygook of freaking, of words that mean nothing. I mean, investment psychology. Okay. I mean, a scientific approach. Okay. I mean, we're going to look at the 10-year track record of some of these guys. We love them to death, but yeah, they have underperformed the last 6 months, so we're thinking about getting rid of them. What is that? That doesn't make any sense. So if you're hiring an investment manager and he starts talking scientific, starts talking evidence-based, or he starts talking behavioral coaching, get the H out of Dodge. There's just no base of that, because they're essentially saying we can't give you any market guidance, essentially, other than keeping you from yourself. But now we still want to pretend like we're so smart, so we're going to use this evidence-based management with dimensional fund advisors, French famine, and whatnot. Oh my goodness, it boggles my mind. I cannot stand that stuff. And then we're going to put you in a bunch of mutual funds, which cost on average 1%, but the biggest holding will be the S&P 500 index. So this is science. One more time. Let's see. I'm going to predict. I'm going to drop this pen. What will happen? I don't know. Should I go on a limb and predict this? Yes, I'm going to do it, folks. I'm going to do it. I'm going to risk my YouTube channel. I'm betting everything that this pen, once I drop it, is going to fall. It did. It worked. I still have my YouTube channel. Ask a guy or a lady their scientific projections going forward, and they're gonna not have any. Why? Because it's not science-based. It's not evidence-based. Evidence says in the past this is what worked. That means nothing in the future. It doesn't mean anything. The only thing for evidence that matters is the fees you pay. That's it. If you want to, the number one way to assure that you will outperform the other people out there is just reduce your fees. There's just no getting around that, my friends. All right, so that's just a little rant here. Hope you like that. Just if you have an investment manager and he's got you in nothing but mutual funds, you got to reconsider that. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you might not hear from me ever again, because the investment managers out there, as my YouTube channel grow, are going to really be upset by me, and who knows if they cut the brakes off my tires or whatever. But just remember, YouTube's for posterity. This video will be there, and this guy's mug will be out there. So just refer back to it if you never hear from me again, because if you're hiring an investment manager who's not actively management, like the Ken Fishers of the world, I'm not giving them I'm not blessing them at all. I'd much rather just go to Vanguard. But if you're going to hire active management, make sure they're doing active management. That's it. All right. See you next time. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Go to the blog at heritagewealthplanning.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.